Hello, this is a substitute training of the policies and procedures for Madison County Schools. My name is Dustin Broombaugh, Director of Human Resources, and we hope that you find some of this information very informative for you so that you can do the best job possible when substituting in various roles for our students in Madison County. We'll be covering today some expectations, confidentiality, harassment, discrimination, grievances, incident and claim reporting, workers' compensation questions, bloodborne pathogens, drug and alcohol-free workplace, our online board policies and where to find those, technology, duty to report, and duty-free lunch and overtime. Some expectations. Regardless of the role that you'll be subbing in, we do ask that you be on time or even a little early. We ask that you sign in at the front office and get a name badge. Review the responsibilities for the day. If you're substitute teaching as a paraeducator or as a teacher, we ask that you please follow the plans that are left by the regular employee. Become familiar with the student's needs before the students arrive by reviewing any of the IEPs or the 504 plans. And as always, if you need help with something or you have questions, please be sure to ask. Confidentiality. Every employee of the Kentucky Public School District must adhere to confidentiality protection of all students. This means that we want you to protect the personally identifiable data and information, and confidentiality requirements also apply to discussions about a student and the student's records. Some examples of this are personal and family information, progress reports and work samples, information stored in a cell phone or email, and discipline records. We ask that you only use the email accounts that have been assigned to you. If for some reason a student or an employee happens to leave their email up, we ask that you do not use those. Once again, only use the one that's assigned to you if you have one. Never include student names or specific grades in the email or the text of the email. Never give personally identifiable information over the phone because you can't always be sure who is really on the other end. Harassment discrimination. This is unlawful behavior based on the race, color, national origin, age, religion, sex, or disability of an employee. This creates a climate of hostility or intimidation. This can be language, conduct, or symbols conveying hatred, and this can be of the same sex or opposite sex. There's zero tolerance of harassment discrimination, and it's prohibited at all times on and off school property during school-sponsored events. Our rules also apply to visitors. Employees who engage in harassment discrimination of another employee or student shall be subject to disciplinary action, including but not limited to termination of employment. Prohibited conduct. The using of nicknames, slurs, stories, jokes, or written materials that are lewd, vulgar, or profane. This is also unwanted touching, sexual advances and requests, implied or overt threats of physical violence, and this can also be involving individuals with disabilities and antisocial, dangerous, or criminal activity. If you feel you have been the victim of harassment or discrimination, please complete the board-approved form. You can get that by speaking with privately the supervisor in the building or department in which you are substituting in. If the principal or supervisor in that building or the supervisor in that department is the one that's participating in the harassment or discrimination, you can obviously jump over them and come directly to me, Dustin Broombaugh, Director of Human Resources with Madison County Schools. Any of us can provide you with the correct forms and the correct procedures for you to document that and report that harassment or discrimination. The district employees involved in the investigation of the complaints shall respect, as much as possible, the privacy and anonymity of all parties. However, the anonymity cannot be guaranteed. Grievances. This is a violation of a policy, rule, or procedure. They're individual in nature and must be brought forth by the individual grievant. And If you feel that a grievance has happened, once again, a policy, a rule, or procedure that you felt is broken and should be followed, there's also a form that needs to be completed. And once again, you can get that by speaking with the principal or supervisor in the building or department which you're serving in, or once again by speaking with me. Any incidents or claims, they can be reported. If you happen to have an injury while at work in a school or department, you can speak with the secretary or principal or administrator in that department, and they can get you what we call a first report of injury. You can complete that, and those secretary or principal knows to send those to Gina Hall over here at the Board of Education. If you had any general liability, legal liability, auto claims, property claims, any of that type of stuff, there's some forms that also can be completed, and those can be sent over here to Beth Nallen here at the Board of Education. Some risk management or good safety practices. Identify any slips, trips, or fall hazards. If you happen to see something that's wet on the floor at a building or department, maybe speak with a custodian or administrator about getting that cleaned up, and then can maybe do a quick mop or put a slip, one of those yellow signs up. Use safe lifting practices of bending with your knees, not your waist. Be very cautious. Wear appropriate attire for the job. I think as a substitute, wearing some tennis shoes or something with some good traction on the bottom would be very advantageous of you. Keep unauthorized areas locked during school hours. All exterior doors should be locked in a building, as well as a custodial closet. That's to keep, for safety concerns, keep all hazardous type areas out of the way of students so they don't have access to those type of things. Inspect your workplace and equipment routinely. Simple things as cords or different things like that in a classroom or in a cafeteria or whatever. Be out of the way so that you yourself do not slip, trip, or fall over them, as well as students. And report any accidents or hazards as soon as they occur. Bloodborne pathogens. If you happen to see or have to deal with anything that somebody has a bloody nose or a cut or whatever, obviously, I know we joke around, we say this a little bit, but it is serious. If it's wet and it's not yours, do not touch it. But if you are going to be or potentially be in interaction with something like that, please wear rubber gloves. Our classrooms typically have a baggie or a set of rubber gloves in those. If not, you can contact the front office of the school or department. Usually the nurse's office in those locations have rubber gloves of various sizes at their disposal for employees and substitutes to use. Drug and alcohol-free workplace. You shall not manufacture, distribute, purchase, use, or be under the influence of alcoholic beverages, controlled substances, or prescription drugs which unduly impact the performance of your duties. Board policies can be found at this website, or you can obviously access those at the district website. You don't need a username or password, and all those are accessible to anybody that's an employee or by the public. Acceptable use for technology. Everyone with district email and internet access must complete this training here and sign off on the form. Email is not a conversation between two or more people. It is evidence. I don't care if you send an email and you delete it in your inbox and then go into your deleted items and delete it again. It can still be found. Please be aware that your activities on district technology are being monitored, and some professional judgment goes a long way. Duty report per KRS 620030. If you know or have reasonable cause to believe that a child is dependent, neglected, or abused, you shall immediately make a report to their supervisor unless the supervisor is part of the problem. Also, our supervisors know that they need to take appropriate action on that, whether that be contacting social services or law enforcement. And obviously, this is subject to criminal prosecution if you do not report it. So if you're asking yourself, should I or shouldn't I report it? I would suggest be proactive for our students and go ahead and report that activity. Duty-free lunch and overtime. Everybody gets a duty-free lunch time assigned by the supervisor. No work shall be performed during the lunch. You should take your lunch away from your assigned workplace. The work hours are only adjusted by the supervisor, and overtime requires prior permission from the supervisor or the superintendent or designee. Thank you for watching this training. As always, if you have any questions that we can assist you with, please contact me, Dustin Broombaugh, Director of Human Resources with Madison County Schools. Thank you for what you do for our students on a daily basis.